Hey guys, you may hear some rustling in the background. Let me show you what's going on over here. Oops, you're kind of tethered. Hang on a minute. Let me get you untethered. Let me show you. Of course, now they're going to behave themselves. It's playtime, evidently. I love these two. Okay, so let's get back to quilting. Hang on a second. Oh, you see what we're going to be talking about right there. So yesterday, it was time for me to go to physical therapy in Huntsville, which is where my two quilt stores are. And I took the opportunity to go by and get some batting. I don't have my mic on because the phone is almost dead, so I've got you plugged up to power instead of a microphone. So hopefully you can hear me okay. And hopefully the dogs are not louder than I am. So I want to show you the two battings I bought, explain the differences between them and why I'm going with the one I'm going with. And then I have a little list of things to talk about here so I don't ramble and forget to talk about things. There's a part of me that, you hear Ruby? We may need to pause for a second, but I can't pause. I got to upload the video all at one time. There's a part of me that doesn't need to be up here working on this quilt. There's a gazillion other things I need to be doing. And I don't need to be taking time to make a video, but there's a big part of me that needs to do nothing but this too. So when you're in a state of overwhelmness, I have a tip for you. Move, take action. Even if it's not on the things that's on your list, when you've got too many things and you don't know how to organize your list, which one to go on the top, which one to take action on, even if it means just go for a walk. Get yourself in action somehow, and then just isolate how you're prioritizing those items on your list. I know you're here for quilting and not tips like this, but this may be helping somebody because it's helping me today. Prioritize the thing that is the most time sensitive. And if there's 3 or 4 things that are equally time sensitive, then go to a secondary tiering of how you're evaluating. So my most critical things on my list to do's right now is filling out some medical forms that I need to expedite getting to these doctors. I don't need to be doing anything else but filling out those medical forms and getting them to them so I can actually get scheduled. Right? That's important. The other thing is this quilt. My daughter is very pregnant. This baby boy is going to be here any day. So that's time sensitive too. And I can finish this up, if not by tomorrow. This is Friday. If I can't get this done through today and tomorrow, like off the long arm even, and then working on binding on Sunday, then I'll be surprised. But if I can do that, and then on Monday, start in on my paperwork, that makes sense. So it's just a state of putting my blinders on. And then the other thing is, I want to keep my YouTube channel alive. I want to be talking to you guys. I want you guys talking to me. I thrive off hearing from you. And then there are things I want to tell you too. Like I want you all to know that I've not forgotten about Avery quilts. As soon as I get a few critically sensitive things taken care of, then I'll be working on Avery quilts and I'll be showing, progress on that. And that's critical for us to keep our community going, but that's not the word I was looking for, but our bond and our trust in each other. You put trust in me, and I'm going to honor that because, number one, Avery quilts is important to me. Helping out the children that are on the pediatric transplant waiting list is just something I have a heart for. And again, I don't know how that turns into anything that is sustainable. It's going to take somebody else doing it. I can't create a nonprofit on my own. But as quilters, we can do good things regardless. Okay, so that's another reason why I want to communicate with you and keep the YouTube channel going. But also my heart's just in it. I love telling stories. I love sharing. I love inspiring with, sharing the creativity of working on a quilt and the different nuances of that. I enjoy watching that from others. And, I just want to continue. So sometimes you got to feed your soul along with taking care of the high priority things. And talking to you guys today for a little bit is part of that. I got to see a friend spontaneously yesterday in person, like an in-person contact with somebody. It was fabulous. When I went to the quilt store, I'll talk about that in just a second. I want to get back to the tips. So my point is just stay focused on the high priority things. But if you have to take a moment and do something for yourself, then do it. It's just important to have that social contact too. So what I did yesterday, I went into the quilt store. I thought that the batting I was looking for was at, there's two different stores and they're really close to each other. And I passed one getting to the other, and I shouldn't have. It's the one that actually had the batting I was looking for. I'll show you the bags here. Anyway, did I say this? That I actually have a list? I'm kind of scattered, can you tell? So the kind I was looking for, sorry about the crinkle. I just thought of something because I just saw one of my rulers. I want to show you something. I've enjoyed so much the spray that I put on the back of my small ruler that I told you guys about. You can see it really doesn't change the transparency too much, but it makes a big difference of this not sliding around. That I went ahead and did this ruler, and this ruler. I'm so glad I haven't used them yet. Just wanted to point that out. I put that on one of my community posts on the channel. Can't think of the name of the stuff right now, but it's what is it? Can't think of the name. But anyway, it's meant for this right here. Nothing else but this. I mean, the product that's in the spray may have some other purpose, but this is what it's sold as. It's for the back of your rulers. And if someone asks, can you take that off if it gets chipped up or something? Yes, you can take it off if you just decide you don't like it. But I liked it just fine. I put 3 layers on this. It seemed like it was just really, really thin. And so there's a good texture to it. It's great. I'm excited. Anyway, this is the kind of batting I was looking for. Winland. And I'll show you a visual and you can screenshot it if you need to. Okay, so this was $30 and it's a lap quilt for 60 by 60. It's for a lap quilt size. And this has 6-ounce bamboo. It's 100% bamboo. Gorgeously green premium viscose bamboo batting. High quality, sustainable, renewable fibers. Breathability, durable, and antibacterial properties. 2 to 5% shrinkage on first wash, which is great. I like a crinkle. Machine or hand quilt up to 4 inches apart. Somewhere, yeah, it says do not machine wash before quilting. If pre-shrinking desired, pre-wash by hand. Soak in warm water for 15 minutes. Squeeze out excess moisture by rolling it in a dry towel. Dry naturally by laying flat. Quilts using this batting should be hand washed, but can be machine washed and dried on the delicate cycle if necessary. Your quilt will bring loving memories for generations to come. Okay, so it needing to be hand washed is a reason why maybe I shouldn't use it, but I don't think that's going to be a problem. My daughter will take care of the quilt. It will be used. It's not going to be the quilt that the baby's going to be on while he's spitting up all the time. She's got other quilts for that. She'll take care of it. She'll use it in his photos. What they've done with the first grandchild is they've got a barn. And so they're in the foreground with the barn behind them. And then she's on the quilt that I made for her. And so it's always in the same shot. And I just love that. So this will be his, I'm assuming. Okay, so I went to the other store first thinking that's where this product is. and got this just in case when I went to the other store, they didn't have what I was looking for. I love this product a lot. We're going to do a side-by-side comparison. I'm already at 10 minutes, guys. I do have a list of things, and if anybody's interested in the medical stuff, I'll do a little update at the end. I'll try to be little on that. Anyway, Kyoto, love this product, and I don't think you're going to be able to read that, so let me just kind of tell you about it. So it has to be, okay, its pre-shrinking instructions are similar. It's a 50-50 bamboo cotton blend, and I think it's 6 inches, 8 inches. You can stitch it up to 8 inches apart. That's too big of a quilt design for this quilt anyway, so I'm not concerned about that. Is that ceiling fan bothering you? It might. Let me change the angle of things. I just noticed it. I'm sorry. If I do that, sorry for my hand, then maybe you're not seeing them. I hate seeing ceiling fans. It's kind of creates a little bit of a vertigo kind of thing for me. Anyway, I had to go to the store for the batting, but I also went to get binding. I'm going to take these 2 fabric options out. We'll look at that, these 2 over there by the quilt in just a second. Okay, so we may need to do another video that does a comparison of these 2, since this video is already getting long. And I don't know, I really want to show you. The Kyoto is a nice quality batting. Like I said, it's bamboo, 50-50 bamboo and cotton. And before I found out about the Winland, I thought it was like the creme de la creme. But now that I know about this one, I have felt this in the Winland, 100% bamboo. I felt it in a quilt. Its drapeability is just awesome. I mean, you feel like it's a cloud. It's just amazing. And just touching it right here, you wouldn't really fully appreciate that difference. Let me pull out just a single layer of this one. Now, yeah, I'm going to have to do a different video on this one, maybe a short or something. You have to have a real discerning touch to appreciate that there's a difference in these 2. But the Winland feels like silk, and the drapeability of this is incredible. I do have apprehensions about needing to quilt it at 4 inches apart, and that making it too stiff, and that you might lose that drapeability. If you're going to make a quilt that you know you're probably never going to wash, maybe once or twice in its lifetime, you could probably get away with doing it less than 4 inches or more than 4 inches, and then you increase your drapeability. But, this is going to a baby who will be taking ownership of it as he gets older, so we're going to do it to 4 inches, and it will probably be getting washed, right? It's not an art quilt to put on the wall. It will get used. Okay, so that's the battings. Now, let me find my notes real quick here. Where did I put them? Let me take this off. I was trying to figure out this morning how to quilt this thing, and I made the mistake of going onto Pinterest. Oh my gosh. I think I lost an hour. I was sitting in my chair doing my red light therapy, my vagus nerve therapy, and thought, multitask, right? It's fine. And I really didn't spend that much more time sitting there on Pinterest than what it takes to do those therapies. But I'm just saying, it's real easy to go into some rabbit holes, very creative, inspiring things on Pinterest. But I was getting into such a rabbit hole that I thought, I gotta pull out from this, and I need to think about this more strategically. So I went to ChatGPT, and that was kind of interesting. I've been using ChatGPT for medical stuff. It's kind of become my functional health doctor. It's really guided me well, and it's been very useful. And that's why I'm bringing it up here. If you're not using ChatGPT or some other AI app, I encourage you to do so. It's that's probably a different video too. So I can get through all these bullets. Let me just stop with that. It was interesting. The design that I'm thinking about using on this quilt now is the orange peel. I need it, want it. Let me get you over there where you can look at it, and we'll look at this too. Let me look at my... Oh, yeah, before I go over there, and while I'm on camera, because when I get over there, I'm going to point you down so you can see the quilt. The pattern that's on my website has some issues. They're not huge deal breakers, so I'm not, I don't have time to worry about changing, or I can't sit long enough to make the changes. But if you're going to go to my website and pull down that pattern, just know that there's a few little discrepancies about the number of strips you have to cut for some of the pieces for the blocks. And that is just the instructions for just the blocks. Does not include the sashings and does not include the border. That was intentional. I wanted to make it a series of posts, and that first set of instructions, it really could have been a booklet, and it kind of is. I wanted it to be more about a color conversation about how to get your secondary block pattern out of this, because a lot of your Irish chains will have solid squares alternating with your 9 patch squares, and that's not how mine is, right? Like I've got 9 patches inside my 9 patches, and then that's creating, along with the sashing, creating a secondary block outside of that. And I'm not unhappy with the way it's turning out. A little bit dissatisfied with a couple of, I think, value. Maybe it's the color. Oh, no. Temperature. That's what it is. I'm sorry about that right there. Okay, let me get the stool moved over. I think I was talking to you about my friend I saw at the quilt store. This store where the batting is that I liked. A friend of mine works there. When I walked in, she was sitting there, and so I got to catch up with her, and that was really cool, really nice. I forget that she's often there, although almost every time I go, she's there. But she was the first lady, no, that's not the right way to put that. She was the first boss I had when I worked at the TV station. So it's always good to see her. I had a wonderful time at the TV station and got to meet a lot of wonderful people. It was a big blessing in my life. And anyway, here we go. So I don't know how well you can see the colors here. Let me move this light closer. My light's getting caught up in the ceiling fan. Let me lower it a little bit. Okay. Maybe that'll help a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna lift you up so you can get more direct look at this. My army green here, overall I'm very happy with the colors of the quilt, but this army green seems like it's temperature wise maybe not the most perfect choice with these that it's next to. I don't know, what's something about it is just saying maybe we could have done better. I don't know. I think it's mostly this combination that I'm not enjoying, but I'm not sure. It's not a deal breaker, and overall I still like it. And this is what's going on the back of the quilt. I've got yardage here. I don't know if you see, if you can see. I've got a lot of yardage here that will be going on the back, and I think I've got enough to where I only have to like piece it so it fits width-wise. What were we going to talk about? Okay, so you did notice probably that on this long arm, Vicky's quilt's not on here. It is not completely unstitched. I did take it off so that I could work on it downstairs. Sometimes I'm kind of stuck downstairs for a little bit because my legs just don't want to come back upstairs, or the dogs need to go in or out, and I can't go up and down. So I decided that I would finish it on my couch which, as you know, I'm not trying to sit too much, so it's going to wait. Okay. So, and I need to get this one on the long arm and get it off of it pretty quickly, so I need to go ahead and do that. There are threads all over this. Y'all just have to excuse me. I am not, this is a one-woman show, and I don't have time to make things camera ready. I took a sample, little tiny sample with me of what I had that worked well with these fabrics, but I didn't have enough of it for the binding. But it was a chocolate color, and I really liked it. And I liked the idea of it being graphic on the sides. This is what I found at first, and I was going to go with that. And then I just happened to go by, and sorry, my mess there. So I happened to go by another area of the store and grab this really quickly. I think this is the one I'll go with. This is too dark. But I went ahead and got it just because I think it'll make a good binding for some other quilt. I like when you get a graphic design like this on your binding, it makes the binding more interesting. So I got that because it just screamed, take me home. And about 50,000 other things in that store screamed at me similarly, but I ignored them. The only time I wish I was a millionaire is when I'm in a fabric store. That's not true. The only time when I wish I was a millionaire and a consumerist is whenever I'm at a quilting store, a fabric store. Okay, so where are we with things? I've got all the blocks together, all the sashing's done. I've got, can you see that? This is, the border is on the top and bottom. Let me pull back. I can't see what you're seeing whenever I'm standing back here very well. I think that's in frame. So the border is on top and bottom. You can see how it just continues these lines. Where the chains come together, just kind of continue. And then you have a repetition of these rectangles all the way across with this square. Can you see that? I'm sorry if you can't. It's so hard to do this. With this square that's in the middle of all those blocks, the size of that square being used here. I should have used more of this down here. That would have been a good choice too, probably. Anyway, so I almost have my side borders done. I would tell you that if you start to do something like this, you want to make sure that you're following, oh gosh, that's really dark, that you're following your direction of your fabrics. Because when you're chain stitching and you're taking that little rectangle and putting it on here, you want to make sure that whenever it's piece that it's going into is upright, that this little guy is standing up, and then on this side he's standing up. So you just got to pay attention to it. You can't be blindly attacking that when you're doing it. So I'll get that part done this afternoon, or this here in a little bit. Hopefully I'll finish those before I stop and have lunch. So what's next? If you do look at my design on the website, you can do this. Any of you who are interested in doing this, you can figure all this out. But what I have, of course, this is, I'm assuming you can see my hand. This is our block that the instructions are for, right? And then you're chain stitching this, this to here, right? So it's your green, your brown, your chartreuse, your brown, your green, your brown. And then the same thing down here, and you string all those together, attach them to your columns, and then that's how you get this secondary block here. Now, if I wanted to be really picky about how I built a secondary block in here, I could have put pink here and pink here, and that really would have made it like a little flower. And the reason I didn't do that, because this is a boy quilt. I think in one of my designs I had it that way, and I thought that looks like it's emphasizing a flower and pink, and it might make it a little bit you know, too feminine when I'm wanting it to remain boy, you know. I don't have any apprehensions about the fact there's pink in it. You know, although people think about that, it's just for girl stuff. Pink is universal. But adding a flower into it seemed like it would be adding frilliness to it when everything is too rigid here. So the quilting design, I hope you can see, my quilting design that I'm thinking about doing after talking to ChatGPT is the orange peel, I think. I don't know if I was freehanding it, if I knew how to do that and could, you know, I might do stitch in the ditch, you know, follow the chains and to emphasize my chains, right? And I kind of want to do that. And I thought about just doing diagonal lines, cross hatching, which is still not a bad option. I might still do that, but that's harder. I don't know really how to do that yet on a long arm so that you get a continuous line all the way. You could divide it up into sections. I don't know. I need this to be quick because I got stuff to get back to, and I want it done before baby boy gets here. I don't know why, but I've had it in my mind that he's coming on a Sunday. Isn't that something? I had a dream actually that he did. So, you know, for whatever dreams mean. Anyway, the orange peel could be one orange peel in this big block, or it could be an orange peel that fills this area. Normally, when I see a really rigid quilt top design, you know, it's all squares or right angles and everything, I like to add curves to the quilting design. I don't want it to be a modern look because my daughter's very much a traditionalist in many ways, and she likes a classic, traditional, almost anything. And so it doesn't need to be modern. So, you know, feathers is one traditional approach, but that's a little too frilly for this. And clamshell or Baptist fan as an option. Baptist fan would look nice. ChatGPT did recommend that. But for some reason, I really like the orange peel. Like I could see an orange peel inside each one of these. That would be more custom quilting. Can I get that done and get it done in time? The quilt's not that big. The other thing is I could just do cross hatching inside each block, and that's quicker. I don't know. I'm still thinking about it. I'm going to be putting the borders on, and eat. It's actually my breakfast. I'm doing the carnivore diet, and so I do some intermittent fasting. So I haven't eaten breakfast yet. I'm going to be having ribeye and country pork ribs for breakfast here. Trying to get some weight off my joints, and it's working. I've lost 35 pounds since January 12th. So what is that, 5 months? Okay, so can you see me? Let's see what else is on our list here. Let me put you over here so I can sit. Sorry about all the movement. I know that's hard. It is hard when you're watching a video and all of a sudden things start moving around, or you see fan blades moving like that and movement in the background. So let me check my notes here and see what else we need to talk about. We're at 28 minutes. I need to be quick. Okay, that touched on everything I wanted to talk about as far as quilting goes. And then I think I do want to expand sometime on the ChatGPT and how to use that for quilting, because it was kind of interesting, and do want to expand on the batting, because I think there's value in us sharing that content with each other. And again, this channel has moved from me hoping and praying that it would turn into a successful channel with all of my inconsistencies of approaching it, to me seeing it as just our little micro guild. I don't know if you call it micro. I mean, there's almost 3,500 of you. Do all of you watch every time? No. But, a few hundred of you do, and I think that's a decent sized guild. I appreciate every one of you. It's very meaningful to me. Okay, I can still see those fan blades moving. Let me get some light on my face. So I'm in the light, not in the dark for you. Just tweak you a little bit. Okay, the medical update. So if you're not interested in medical stuff, video's done. See you later in the next one. Keep moving the needle, okay? No offense taken. I know a lot of people have no interest in medical, but I value the sharing of medical information. I would not have advanced to where I am without others making public statements about their health. Getting help when you have complex chronic issues that are not common, that are very uncommon, and some are rare, is a very difficult journey. So you don't have to, however, have exactly that, complex and rare or uncommon, to appreciate what all I'm about to share. There may be some other value in this to you. It's not for me to decide what's of value to you. It's for me to share. I believe in the value in sharing stories. I'm a storyteller at heart, like I said, I would not have advanced to where I am without others sharing their stories. So, but I am going to try to keep this quick. I'm not going to go into a big monologue on this. The current medical update is that I've made contact with the 2 Denver doctors, and one of them is the Eagles syndrome, and they've given me paperwork to fill out. And that's in my poll, my tips from the beginning of this video, where I was saying I really need to be doing that. My saving grace on why I'm not doing that is that my printer is out of ink. So I've got to print out those forms. I've ordered the ink from Amazon today, so I can't even work on that instead of this. Richard was like, oh, thank you, God, for giving me a little bit of an excuse. That's great. I've known it was getting low, but I don't use a printer a lot. I go in seasons where I need it randomly, and then it sits for a while. So it kind of snuck up on me, but I don't have enough ink to print. So I did make contact, and it's hard to get a hold of some of these doctors. They have so many, these specialists who specialize in things that few people even deal with, few specialists in their area. How do I put that? Few doctors in their areas of specialties will deal with these issues. Like, for instance, this doctor is an ENT. Few ENTs deal with Eagle syndrome. I went to the best ENT doctor here in Huntsville. He was very compassionate, tried to help, wanted to help, but he was totally clueless about what could be going on. But he was definitely one of the nicer physician encounters I've had during my medical journey. What was I going to say? Oh, on the hip stuff. Now, part of my issue, I haven't had new imaging, but my 2017 imaging showed bones were fine. And it's soft tissue, so it's your glutes, which is your butt. You got a gluteus minimus, medius, and is it major? I forget what, maximus. So my minimus and my medius are torn, and my labrum, which is, how you've got your ball of your femur of your leg inside of a socket. Well, inside this area, coating it is your labrum. And so your socket can ride around inside there. Well, part of that is torn, and it's been torn since 2017. But getting help, I couldn't get anybody to help me in Huntsville. I went to multiple hip doctors. One was very kind. He put me through injections and stuff to settle down the swelling, and did an MRIs and did MRA, and then sent me to Nashville to see a hip doctor up there to take care of the minimus. He says, there's no use in me treating your labrum until your minimus is taken care of, and he's the guru of minimus tear repairs. Well, I was gaslit there. He put me through 6 months of his physical therapy. I got zero improvement. He says, you don't need to come back. It's like, why? He goes, well, because you don't need a hip replacement. I was never there for a hip replacement. We knew before I ever got there that my bones were fine. So there's no one here for me to go to. That's kind of what I'm saying. Like, not everybody does everything. These are high level hip specialists, and they don't touch the soft tissue. They do what they do. They do hip replacement. They do, the money makers, if you will. And I don't know. Okay, I was going to say, I don't know if the surgery for doing soft tissue repair is less of a revenue source for them, but it's not as common, I don't think. So the other thing, what was I going to say about that? Hang on, I'm getting there. Same thing is true for neurosurgeons. I didn't appreciate this fact for the longest, but if you've got an orthopedic, if you've got a problem with your spinal column, you may go to an orthopedic doctor or a neurosurgeon. In my mind, those were your two options. A neurosurgeon did anything that might, have anything to do with your central nervous system. But that's not true. Even your neurosurgeons are divided up. Some are just pretty much going to want to focus on your lower spine, like your lumbar area, small of your back. And then some are going to do your neck down to your torso, which is your cervical and thoracic. And then some only do C2 up. So neurosurgeons are C2 up docs and C2 down docs. And so my issue was my head was sliding around, and so none of these doctors even knew how to evaluate me properly. The doctor I found was Dr. Patel in Charleston, South Carolina. He's the one who fused my skull to my cervical spine and, put me through the evaluation processes and through the upright MRIs and all that. So I'm more experienced now. I get that. So how this relates to now is there may be somebody else out there looking for this hip doctor that I found out in Denver. And I've also found two others that I'm going to get second opinions from, one in South Carolina and one in North Carolina. But I know from personal experience how hard it is to find somebody who will address soft tissue repair in your hip in a patient who has Ehlers-Danlos syndrome especially. I tell you, when you have a medical journey like mine, and that's somebody who is chronically ill, who has multiple illnesses and injuries, and they're not well known, and the medical science around them is just emerging. It is a study in the human nature. Is that called anthropology, when you're studying man in the wild or something? Like you're studying how people behave. And you've heard the expression that whenever you put somebody, what's the expression? I don't know exactly what it is, but you put somebody under pressure, they're stressed, they're anxious, whatever, you see their true character come out. You see the reality of who they are. I've seen doctors who, if I only knew them outside of the clinic room, I would think they're great human beings. And they are, but they're flawed human beings. But I walk in, or a patient like me walks in, I probably need to plug you up so that we don't lose power in the middle of this and I have to start all over because I'm not editing anything. Hang on. What I was saying is that I walk in, or a patient like me, and I represent things they don't know about. And doctors are not used to being thwarted, right? They're not used to not having answers. And like the rest of us, we get used to the drill of our day, the drill of our week, the drill of our month. Like this is sequence in how I handle things. I do this and that happens. I do this and, cause and effect. I know how to deal with this. It's like an assembly line. It's what I often call the medical industry in general. It's just an assembly line, and everybody's on an assembly line. They're looking for what they know, and that's it. A really good doctor who's able to keep their ego in check will say, you're complex. I don't know how to help you. This is the direction I might guide you towards. Let me do some research and see if I can find this doctor for you. Just all kinds of guidance options. What you often find, however, though, is gaslighting. You get demeaning, belittling, even hateful things said to you. It is really an amazing thing to witness up close. I need to write a book on just that, just like nothing besides the quotes. Each page just be a quote of the ridiculous things that have been said to me. I could fill a thick book because I've been to a lot of doctors. And doesn't matter how severe your issues are and that you're dealing with, and you're going to get dismissed because they don't know what to deal with you and they're going to treat you poorly and not guide you. That is way too common. So I know that experience, right? And so I know that I'm not the only one, because I'm on a lot of Facebook groups for medical needs. So whether it's Ehlers-Danlos syndrome or any of the cranial cervical instability, the tethered cord syndrome, a lot of different private Facebook groups for patients dealing with different things, because that's where you get your real information. Patients who have been through it, they've had their referrals, they know where to go. You can talk to them about their experiences of their surgeries and their recoveries and what their journey is, and you kind of fine tune where your needs fit inside that. So I've talked to a lot of people. I've had a big, long experience myself now, and I know that there are other people who might be in search of like this doctor in Denver. His name is Dr. Brian White. Is that right? Yeah. I think the name of it is Western Orthopedics, and he's like the world-renowned hip doctor for doing labrum replacements, and he also does glute repairs. That is a very rare thing to find. My understanding from all my research, I did stop looking for glute repair doctors after the failed attempt in Tennessee, because I had to find somebody to keep my head on my body, and then to take care of my tethered cord and all that. And then I got enough healing. I was walking pretty decent this past fall. Like, it was a miracle. I can't really explain why all of a sudden I was walking better, but it was a joy. And then I regressed big time, and that's what I've been dealing with since November. So I'm excited to be talking and communicating with the nurse at Dr. White's office, and the information I have to get to them is extensive, and the imaging I need to get, they've been very clear about that. I've passed that along to my primary. I've not heard back from him yet, and about the imaging he wants me to get, because he was going to contact his radiologist buds and then get back with me. And I haven't heard from him this week. I don't want to push him, because he is generously, he's been generous with his offering of support, which is a phenomenal thing. I'm not used to that. And so I don't want to, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to do anything to negate that. It's not the word I was looking for, but it's similar. Okay, so there are two other doctors I've recognized through my inquiries on the Facebook groups, people I trust, and that's one in South Carolina and one in North Carolina. Haven't done my own deep dive into them, but right now they are highly recognized enough that I need to pursue evaluating them as my second opinion. When you have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, you get a lot of different issues. I'm at 44 minutes, guys. I need to stop. You have a lot of weakness in your connective tissue. So doing a surgery like this on the hip poses more risks. I can't, even if I had a doctor here locally who was willing to do anything, I can't risk somebody doing it who doesn't have a high volume of patients with my illness. So I have to do my homework to make sure I'm going to the right people. And that's my last point I think I was going to make is two last points. One is ChatGPT. If I haven't said that, if you have medical issues, use ChatGPT. It is an incredible resource, much better than like just using the AI option on Google. I'm telling you, it's been very helpful because it's logical, right? It's only logical. You got to be careful. Your AI apps are still capable of making mistakes. I've corrected ChatGPT a couple of different times. Um, and it takes those corrections fine. Okay, the other thing was, and this is just kind of um, going back to the comment that I was making earlier about how I can't get help locally. That's why even with this clavicle issue, I'm having to go out of state, going to MUSC for that, because I went back to my shoulder doctor here who had been really a nice guy, and in 2017 he had done an MRI and he saw the tears in the rotator cuff and what's it called, brachus plexus or something like that. Can't remember the name, and the labrum, and then an issue with the clavicle. And when I went back to see him, he walked in and he goes, "You're the kind of patient we hate to see." And then he caught himself. He didn't mean to say that out loud, and I took it as a joke because I remember him being a very kind person. And I said, "Trust me, I know. I hate being the patient that you hate to see." And so we laughed it off. There's no animosity whatsoever. And he'd taken an x-ray. He goes, "Your bones are fine." And I said, "Really? Because you told me in 2017 they weren't. You told me they were gnarly." He goes, "That wouldn't have been me." I said, "But it was." And he goes, "No, it wouldn't have been me." I said, "Well, can we do an MRI?" "No, you haven't had a trauma." I'd been in physical therapy for 8 months at that point for the organic trauma that was going on. I don't have to be in a car accident to have a trauma. So he just didn't want to be my doctor. So instead of saying, "Hey, I don't think I'm your doctor," he was gaslighting me. I have an MRI report sitting on my dining room table that he did in 2017 and with the remarks on it, and he's denied he did it. This is the kind of treatment that you get when doctors don't understand what to do with you. So I am going to a doctor, and it requires medical travel. And fortunately, the two doctors in Denver, the Eagle syndrome and the hip doctor, my first evaluations with them don't have to be in person. I can send my records, send my imaging to them, and then we have a phone call, and then I would only see them like the day before surgery. Travel there for surgery, of course. I can't do that by phone yet. The MUSC doc, for some reason, they haven't figured out how to do that. I would still have to travel there. We're at 47 minutes. I am going to close this off. Now, let me know in the comments if I should completely leave off the medical stuff. I don't want to create another channel. I don't have the bandwidth to do that, but I just believe there's value in sharing this stuff. It's because I know it is using the word gnarly again, it is a gnarly journey when you don't have answers and you've got multiple issues going on. So if I can share and direct somebody to a different doctor, or just make you feel validated, or help you to learn how to address a doctor, you've got to go into the doctors, and I'm doing a much better job at it, knowing that I have to think strategically, and that I have to help them think. But it catches me off guard still when I go into a doctor who I think is know to be a kind man. He was always kind, this shoulder doc. And where you expect you're going to get help, but you get gaslit. And just, he could have just easily pulled up my record and seen that he'd done an MRI for me. But he was just like, "We need to get her out of this room. She's not a surgical candidate for me. We just need to get her passed on," and not actually helping. And that's too true. You don't get diagnostic help with doctors. You get screened for whatever their surgery is. And that's something you have to really take note of if you're going to somebody who's either selling you something, like a supplement or anything like that, but also when it's surgeons, because they're selling their surgeries. They get to keep their jobs at that clinic because they sell surgeries. And I'm not saying that they're doing it to people who don't need it, but their job is to weed out who needs it and who doesn't. And if you present complications with something they don't want to touch because you're going to be messing up their statistics, you're going to be an unsuccessful surgery for them, majority of the time, they're going to pass you along. And with that note, I'm going to pass you along to get back to your day. 49 minutes. Keep moving that needle, and I'll see you soon. Bye.